Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you may be. Welcome back to the Same Old Arsenal podcast, sponsored by the West Cork Beard Company. Links in the description below. Please check out Colin's product. All beard oil made from natural ingredients here in the heart of West Cork, where we live. Check out his website below. If you've got a beard, it's a must for beardy tips, Harry. So you know I'm going to do that every week now, Harry, don't you?
That's fine, man.
Good. The link is in the description below. He helps us bring the podcast to you. Very kindly sponsored the channel and a good friend of mine. So please go and have a look at him in the link below. Episode 103. Wow, 103, eh? Burnley v Arsenal up at Turf Moor yesterday. A very, very, very poor game. Good evening to you all in the chat. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for coming to join us. If you wouldn't mind putting the link up on Twitter and saying, hey, you should come and watch this podcast because it's really good. I'm not lying, am I? Or am I? I don't know. Dan, how are you, sir?
Tired, mate. Very tired. I went all the way up to Burnley and all the way back today. I did stay over. So I'm trying to catch up on some sleep, which I did on the way back on the drive because I went with Fergus Keating and Fergus was driving, luckily.
I saw you catching up on some sleep on the way out.
Yeah, on the way up there and on the way back, mate. But still tired, man. Still tired.
Harry, how are you, sir?
Not too bad, man. Tired as well. Glad that the last week of the transfer window is gone now because that was a really, really busy week for me, really tiring. It was my first one dealing with it sort of full time and my God, it's tough. So, yeah, glad that that's done.
Lee Judges will be with us, but he's going to be late because he's out playing football. Would you believe? He's out there channeling his inner Tony Adams. Should be with us in about 15 minutes, but Lee will be here and we'll get his thoughts and everything on the game when he comes. So, lads, a fairly boring game, a 0-0 draw away at Burnley. Should have won it. Plenty chances that we had. Lacazette in the first minute missing one. As I said to you there just before we come on air, I thought that if that one went in, it could have been 4 or 5. It's an absolute. I can't believe he's missed it actually. The header, and then of course Aubameyang goes through 1-on-1 with the keeper and absolutely scuffs it. Dan, what were your thoughts on yesterday's game, mate?
Very wasteful, mate, as you just picked up on there, I think. You mentioned Lacazette and Aubameyang. Aubameyang had another header in the second half. A good defensive display. I thought Burnley probably unlucky not to score themselves. I think with the J. Rodriguez shot that hit the crossbar, I think he'll be a bit gutted that he didn't put that in, to be fair. And that could have been a 1-0 to Burnley, But I actually thought defensively we were fine. It's the final third again, Craig. And I thought Mesut Ozil was shockingly bad, walking around the pitch. Doesn't want to be there, clearly not interested. And I don't really see how him and Lacazette are still getting starts. I've got to ask Arteta the question. If that was Unai Emery picking that side, he would have got absolutely rinsed for it. So why has he disrupted the Saka and Martinelli left-hand side? No one knows. Pepe all of a sudden doesn't get a look in. He's clearly done something to annoy him to get benched when Lacazette just carries on playing. Don't quite understand why he's adamant on playing Aubameyang on the wing. It just seems to me like he's shoehorning Lacazette and Aubameyang when I think really we have to be playing one because they can both only play through the middle. And the actual performance itself, I didn't think anybody had an amazing game. I thought Bellerin looked pretty good. And again, David Luiz and Mustafi looked okay at the back as a defensive unit. But for me, Leno, some of his distribution was a bit poor and kind of slowed the game down a bit, I thought. And then, as I say, the front four, it's just that front four should be creating so much on paper. We've got apparently one of the best number 10s in the world. We've got a striker who costs us 60 million, a striker who costs us 55. We've got Martinelli who looks so lively when he's on the ball. We've got Pepe for 72 million. And then you look at it and think, why is our goal difference minus? Why are we in the minus still? Because the front lot are just not scoring goals for us. And it seems to me like we can't get a team performance. We have to get either a defensive performance or an attacking performance. And it seems to me like the start of the season, the defence was shocking and the midfield were unbalanced and invisible. Now Emery's gone. We can't get the forwards working. It's like we can never get an area of the side. There's always an area of the side lacking. We can't get a team performance. It's brilliant in all areas. So Arteta has got to take a lot of stick for some of the team selections. And I didn't really understand any point of bringing Eddie and Nketiah on with 3 minutes to go. Thought that was pointless.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not a very good performance again, Craig. And it's another draw. He's, I think Fergus said to me, he's like an artist. He loves draws.
He loves drawing.
He does.
Harry, I mean, Dan mentions, Lacazette, Ozil. We'll discuss it in a bit more. We'll discuss it in depth after we've got your thoughts on the game. But what were at the full-time whistle? What was your immediate thought on the full-time whistle?
I mean, obviously, the immediate thought was one of disappointment, because you feel like Arsenal have the quality to overcome teams like Burnley. So it's always frustrating when you don't get all 3 points. But on the other hand, and I'm going to be a little bit positive, because one of the problems that Arsenal had or have had for years and years and years is their inability to go to these type of grounds and defend effectively. Now, Dan mentioned that, we've got the defense working, but we can't now get the forwards working. And the problem is, like we've always said, the squad is so imbalanced, isn't it, in terms of the talent that we have going forward and what we have defensively. And Mikel Arteta is having to be a little bit more pragmatic. He's having to drill the team a little bit better defensively. They're having to be a little bit more strict in the shapes that they're holding. The fact that Xhaka and Torreira, or Xhaka and Guendouzi yesterday, don't have that license to maybe go all over the park like they did under Unai Emery. All of that is contributing to the fact that we have, whether people like to admit it or not, become a lot better defensively. So, yes, the attacking spark is not quite there at the moment. But for me, when you're building a side, the only side that's ever built from the front backwards has been Liverpool. Everybody else, in the traditional way of doing it, is to build solid foundations. And the rest of it, given the talent we've got, you hope it will come. Now, for me, Arsenal were pragmatic under Emery at times, but we still couldn't defend. We were still conceding chances. We were still conceding goals. We're still conceding chances under Mikel Arteta, but nowhere near as many. And that's the key point here. We're defending a lot better. And for me, what I didn't like about Unai Emery was that I didn't see any progress. I wasn't so fussed about getting from 0 to 100 in a short space of time, because if we're being realistic, we know that that's impossible. But what I wanted to see was a steady progress. And in terms of Arsenal's defensive capabilities, I think we are seeing steady progress. And so whilst it wasn't the desired result, we did make enough chances to win it. We didn't take them. But the most encouraging thing for me from yesterday was the fact that once again, we showed that we can go away from home under Mikel Arteta and we can defend a lot more effectively. So I'm not as doom and gloom as, and I'm not saying you guys are, but as some of the people I've seen on Twitter the last couple of days.
Yeah. Well, we have a great reactive fan base. I mean, I can be I can be very knee-jerk at times, but I mean, I'm with you on that. I mean, I'm not doom and gloom. I just think it's a game we should have won. And a game we should have won quite comfortably. I just want to bring this in here from Bill. Thank you for your kind donation, mate. Thank you very much. Every week he buys us a Big Mac and chips. Thank you very much indeed. He says he agrees it is going to take time, like Klopp, to get Arsenal to where they need to be. But we are 10th in February, and these players need to be accountable. Dan, what would you say to that?
Yeah, I'd have to agree, and I also believe that we are playing like a mid-table side, and guess what? That's where we are. Yeah. You look at Burnley yesterday, and you don't see much difference in quality, and that's exactly where we are at the moment. In my opinion, we're no different to an Everton or a Southampton or a Burnley at the moment, because we're just playing like that, and we have better players on paper, but as a team, it's still not quite getting it right. I think Harry brings up a good point in terms of us improving defensively, because that certainly has happened. I mean, it definitely has. It's clear to see. And it proves that, Arteta can install some confidence into some of these players, because if he's getting people like David Luiz and Mustafi playing well and defending well, then that for me is great stuff. I just feel like going forward is where the problem is, and it has been throughout. If Aubameyang doesn't score, I feel sorry for him because no one else does. And it was like that yesterday. He had a bad day at the office, and instead of trying to get behind him, they get on everyone else on his back, and then let people get away with murder. In my opinion, Lacazette, the last time he scored was the 23rd of November. I don't think he scored an away goal for a whole season. Ozil,
he hasn't scored.
He scored?
Lacazette hasn't scored an away goal for 365 days.
There you go.
And Mesut Ozil's last assist away from home, I believe, was last November.
It's crazy because Mesut Ozil, I think that someone texted me yesterday or the day before saying he's, out of all of the players in the Premier League over the last year, he's number 104th in goals and assists.
Yeah.
And yet people think he's brilliant.
Can I just say,
I don't want to keep picking out Ozil, and because it's boring. Everyone keeps picking him out. Like, he's not.
Arteta keeps picking him.
Yeah, Arteta keeps picking him. So if Arteta keeps picking him, then Mikel Arteta works with him every day. So he obviously sees something in him, right? Okay, and Mikel Arteta did say one of the first things he said when he was interviewed, when he was new manager, was that his job is to get Mesut Ozil ticking. It looks like at the moment it's going to be a harder job than he thought to get Mesut Ozil ticking, but I think digging him out all the time is getting boring now. Like I said, people think he needs dropping. There's people in the chat there saying that he needs dropping. People are saying that Lacazette needs dropping. But at the end of the day, if we drop Mesut Ozil, who else have we got? If we drop Lacazette, if we drop Mesut Ozil, we play Willock. If we drop Lacazette, we play Eddie. So it swings and roundabouts, Harry, no?
I don't like this whole assist argument. I think it's lazy and the reason I say that is because for you to get an assist, somebody needs to put the ball in the back of the net. And yesterday, and they didn't necessarily come from Mesut Ozil, the chances, but yesterday Lacazette missed chances, or Aubameyang missed chances. And if those players don't put the ball in the net, then it's very easy to then go, oh, but look at him, he didn't get an assist. In the first half, it was in the first half, Mesut Ozil completed the most passes in the final third. He made the most ball interceptions and recoveries for Arsenal, and he ended up with the second most passes in the final third when he was taken off 62 minutes. So even though he came off half an hour early, he was still second in that list. So the point I'm trying to make is, with Mesut Ozil, it doesn't always have to be that pass before the finish. It can sometimes be just a case of getting us ticking. Now, I'm not for a second saying that he's playing anywhere near the level that we know he's capable of, because he's not. He really, really isn't. But what I will say is, it just feels like all too convenient an argument for me when Arsenal's problems are not just Mesut Ozil. Yes, he's not playing very well, but even if he picks up the ball on the edge of the penalty area, if there isn't the movement, if there isn't the option, and you've got to think that there's certain players that get targeted by opponents, i.e. they go and put a man on him, and mark him out the game. The Chelsea game was a prime example. I know we touched on this last week, but everybody came out of that game saying, oh, Ozil didn't do nothing in the attacking third. And then Frank Lampard come out afterwards and said, we were a bit confused by the positions he was taking up on the left, on the right. We were having to have players with him all the time. And at the very minimum, if he doesn't create anything, his presence, I guess, is occupying somebody, and that can in turn create space for others. Now, people are saying in the chat that I'm defending him. I'm not defending him. I just think that it's all too convenient an argument to always point the finger at Mesut Ozil every time we don't play very well going forward. What about Alexander Lacazette? What about Aubameyang? What about Martinelli? And I'm not picking on any of them individually. I just think as a collective, the attack is not clicking at the moment. It's not functioning. But it's so easy to go, oh, but he's on 350k a week, so let's point the finger at him. I just want to see people, watch a game of football sometimes and maybe not just jump to conclusions so quickly. Think about why Mikel Arteta is picking this guy all the time. Think about why Arsene Wenger picked him all the time. Unai Emery didn't pick him for a period of time, but in his desperation ended up going back to him as well. Yeah. So, there is something in this guy that maybe, I've read off some stats to you at the beginning of when I've just started talking, that I bet most of the people that were sitting there going, oh, Mesut Ozil was crap yesterday, didn't realise. So just all I would say is, when it comes to Mesut Ozil, you can't be so simplistic in the view that, because he didn't sprint around as much as anyone else, he doesn't care and he doesn't want to be there. He got angry yesterday and he got a yellow card, didn't he? Bit of dissent as well. That's not someone that doesn't care. He'd just walk off if he didn't.
Yeah, true. Very true, mate. Look, I mean, as I said, it seems that Twitter and podcasts and, we're always pointing the finger at him. But I mean, let's talk about Lacazette, a player who is so low on confidence. It's unbelievable. I said just before we come on air there, what he has done to warrant a starting place against Burnley yesterday, I'm dumbfounded. I don't understand Mikel Arteta's formation yesterday. I don't understand why he stopped the Saka-Martinelli link-up down the left-hand side. I don't understand why he played Lacazette up front. And I don't understand why Pepe wasn't on the right. Surely, what we've seen of this team and what we've seen of the attack and what we've seen happening over the last few games, Martinelli, Aubameyang, Pepe. Dan, why do you think he didn't go with that yesterday?
He's trying to shoehorn Lacazette and Aubameyang to play together, in my opinion. But also, I just think he's one of these managers who seems to, if I drop a player, it will just ruin their confidence. And I think he's sticking with Lacazette until he scores. And that, for me, is the wrong thing to do, because he's unfortunately leaving out the likes of Pepe, putting Martinelli on the wrong wing, putting Aubameyang wide just so he can play Lacazette and force him in. For me, Lacazette deserves to be dropped. And if we wanted a ruthless manager, and I was hoping that Arteta was going to be that man. And for me, he's just sticking with Lacazette. And I don't believe that he deserves to be in the team. He just looks to me like the header you said, Craig. It just looked like he was going to miss. I think he thought he was going to miss. It just seemed to me like, I'm going to 100% not put this in. Everything about his attitude and his body language at the moment looks that he's just a guy who's shot to pieces. And I'm not even sure if that a one goal tap-in would do him the world of good. I think he needs to have a real good run of games now. And I can't see where it's going to be coming. As you say, Martinelli and Saka, why disrupt that? Martinelli on the right, why put him on the right? Aubameyang, why put him on the wing? All because Lacazette needs to play from the middle. Personally, I think that if Aubameyang was down the middle and we had Martinelli and Pepe, then that is the three that worked the last time away from home where we beat West Ham 3-1, and we haven't won away from home since then. So that partnership up front, that three up front needs to happen, in my opinion.
Yeah. Harry, I mean, we talk about the Martinelli, breaking up the Saka-Martinelli link-up. What about his choice to play Guendouzi instead of Torreira yesterday? Do you think that was because he knew that Burnley were going to be a bit more physical and he wanted Guendouzi in there to kind of shore things up a bit?
Yeah, I think that was the reason. I don't necessarily agree with what he did, because I've always banged on about the fact that I feel like Xhaka and Torreira is probably the best balanced midfield pairing that Arsenal have, for a number of reasons. I think that at times Matteo Guendouzi can be pulled out of position. He can get sucked into, little spats with people, and, he can often lose focus on the game. But what Guendouzi does give you is he gives you 10 out of 10 in terms of effort, and he gives you 10 out of 10 in terms of his willingness to put his body on the line and battle and fight. And I think not because Torreira doesn't do that, but just because Matteo Guendouzi has a far bigger physical presence. I think that's maybe what swayed Mikel Arteta into doing what he did. Just touching on the Lacazette point and the fact that he broke up the Saka and Martinelli partnership. With the Saka and Martinelli thing, I get why people are surprised that he broke it up. But I guess if I'm trying to put myself in Mikel Arteta's position, he's obviously asked Lacazette, in my opinion, to come deeper to receive the ball, in the hope that brings the centre-backs with him, and it can create spaces in behind for Aubameyang when he's on the left, or for whoever's on the right, to then make those diagonal runs inside and into the space. And we saw that on a few occasions, didn't we? We saw Lacazette drop deep, and then Xhaka picked that ball over the top for Aubameyang for the one he scuffed. So we can see that that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to pull people out of position. The issue with that is that what that does is it can make the striker look a lot worse than he is. And Lacazette is out of form. There's no doubt about that. But when his role is not now predominantly to hang around in the penalty area, then he's going to get less opportunities, and some of his work is going to go unnoticed. In Mikel Arteta's opinion, he probably believes that playing Aubameyang from the left yesterday was worth it because of if someone's going to come in those inside left positions and be through on goal, you'd probably rather it was Aubameyang than anybody else in this Arsenal team because he's our best goal scorer. He's probably our best player overall. And for me, there is an argument that that's why he broke that up. He broke that up because he felt that he could get more out of Aubameyang. Martinelli's been great, but Aubameyang is the main man at Arsenal at the moment. And so he's probably going to do what he thinks is best to get the best out of him. We lost a lot when Saka went off. I think that was a big blow as well. And I think that, that had a massive impact. And the fact that we were unable to then build attacks on the left-hand side, because let's face it, Granit Xhaka's not the most mobile. He's not going to get up and down the way that Saka does. But it changed our game plan. Arsenal's focus has been a lot on that left-hand side since Mikel Arteta's come in. He's worked a pattern out where the fullback pushes on. One of the midfielders drops into that position to cover for him. And Arsenal have been really effective down that side. Losing Saka at half-time massively affected that. It meant that Xhaka went into that position and he done pretty well there, to be fair. He's not a left-back. He sat there, defended pretty well, but he's not going to give you that bit of extra going forward. So for me, I look back on it now and it's easy with hindsight to say that I think that Mikel Arteta got some things wrong. But I think if you sit there and you think about them logically, you still may not agree, but you can understand why he came to those conclusions. And therefore, I don't think he should be hammered for them.
This is an interesting one. Comes in from Lee. I'll come to both of you on this one. Do you think the performances of Lacazette have been so poor that he just doesn't want to be here anymore? It's an interesting question, Dan. We see a lot of players, they get unhappy, and I don't think it's because to answer your question, Lee, I don't think it's because he wants to leave. I just think he is so low on confidence at the moment. And I mean, would it be a stupid suggestion to give him a couple of under 23 games so he can get on the pitch and bang a few goals in, get him that feeling back again of scoring a goal, of getting into that position, of actually saying to himself, yes, I can finish. You know what I mean? What do you? Well, I don't know, Dan. Some people might laugh at that suggestion.
I think he'd be insulted by that. That's the problem.
Do you think so? Do you know what if Arteta did put his arm around him, and say, "Look, I need you to be scored. I need you to be on fire." Because yesterday, like Dan said, when that ball come across him with a header, I was up. I thought it was going in, and then to see it fly wide,
I think,
and the look on his face was like, when he'd missed it, the look on his face wasn't of, oh, I can't believe I missed that. It was more of, I knew I was going to miss that.
Yeah, and I think if he just needs dropping for me, he just needs to be dropped now, Lacazette. And I don't know about the old reserve stuff and the under 23 stuff at Ole. But when it comes to it, I think as well, he's 100% down tools on Emery. I said it before. He 100% down tools on Emery. Wasn't fit, lack of confidence. And for me now, it's all about how Arteta can get him firing again. And I just think he needs to bench him and bring him on with half hour to go and see if we can keep bringing him on, see he scores that goal that we all want him to score, and then go from there. But there's no way that he should be playing in the first team at the moment, Lacazette.
Someone else has just brought up a very good point as well. Chris Hudson. Good evening to you, Chris. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the support, mate. He has had some trouble in his private life recently. I don't want to go into it too much because it's just not fair. But he has had some personal problems at the moment. Yeah,
he has. I think that maybe though. I mean, look, I don't think he should be in the team at the moment. I think that the most effective thing at the moment is to play Aubameyang through the middle. I've been beating that drum for a while, but I think he must be to a degree doing what Mikel Arteta is asking from him. And what I mean by that is not in front of goal, because he's obviously not delivering, but in terms of the positions he takes up, the fact that he does drop a little bit deeper, like we've just said, he's obviously doing something that Mikel Arteta wants. Now, with Mikel Arteta, what I think he's done here, and there's people saying that he's scared to drop big names. I don't think that Mikel Arteta is scared. I think that Mikel Arteta came in and saw what an absolute fucking shit show Unai Emery left behind him, and what a massive impact upsetting those who are popular around the club had on the rest of the squad. And at this point, this early in his Arsenal career, he doesn't want to do that. He wants to get through this season, learn about his team, and build for next season. But at the moment, I just don't think I don't think it's because he's scared of dropping him and he's scared of the backlash. I think he doesn't want to see the squad fall back into that state of discontent that we saw under Unai Emery, and that's why he's cautious on it.
Mr. Judges, good evening to you. Very unprofessional.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody.
25 minutes late.
Yeah. The trains are a total mess at the moment. Trains.
Oh, yes. Mess. Your car broke down, is it?
No, I had a game of football today, and I couldn't get back in time, So
no problem. I'm only having a little mess about with you. Great to see you, mate.
I've been listening on the way in, you know what I mean. So
so you're up to speed. That's good. Well,
I am up to speed.
Sorry, I'll take that back. That is very professional of you.
That is, yeah. See.
So I'll take that back, mate. You were up there yesterday. We've been talking about it for the last, 25 minutes. Why it was so bad, And to be fair, Burnley should have won the game. We're talking about we've been focusing on the chances we missed, but Burnley had plenty of chances to win the game as well. And especially with what's his name at the end there, where he hit the bar. Just what was your thoughts yesterday, mate?
Well, the thoughts I listened to what we're saying about Mesut Ozil and Harry was saying everything there. I thought in the first 20 minutes we played really, really well, and Mesut Ozil was part of that. He in that first 20 minutes, he was one getting on the ball, making things happen and making us click a little bit, and then he just goes missing. And then because then he goes out of the team and doesn't do what he's supposed to be doing, starts going out to the wing and things like that, we then lose control of the game. And I think he's got to realise when you play that role, how important it is. And we're only now getting 20 minutes out of Mesut Ozil, and it's a good 20 minutes, but we need more. It's as simple as that. We need more from him than what we're getting. I heard what Harry said about his yellow card, and that shows that he cares. Sometimes you can just do that and get a yellow card, and it looks like you're caring. There's, do you think it's that calculated? Do you think he goes and says, "Oh, actually, I better get booked now," so that they think I care? Because I don't. No, I don't think. I don't personally. But people were saying that, and there was also it was a lazy little foul that he'd done, and a couple of little. I think he probably, if I'll be honest, Harry, I think he's probably, if I'm being really honest, I think he's frustrated with his own players as much as the fans are as well. I think he knows he's not quite up to the player or the player that he was going back a couple of years ago. That was what I see from there. And if we'd be really honest, we'd lost control of the game. We got Willock on in the second half, and we gained back a bit of control of the game. Because we've got someone that can run the ball. What we need in the team is someone that can pick the ball up and run 25, 30 yards instead of passing little 5, 10 yards. That's something that we've got to look at from that point of view. I also think that, and I'm not sticking up for Mesut Ozil, I'm not sticking up for any of the forwards. What it seems to me is that because we're trying to concentrate on defending, we're all getting back and making blocks of 5 across the back, foot frees, and what we're doing is we're getting back into a very, very quick defensive shape. And what it's doing is then meaning that the players then, when we get the ball, before we even get into the danger area of the final third, we've got to run 60 yards. And you're asking Lacazette to sprint up 60 yards. When he gets to the 60 yards, then they've got to do something, and it's very, very hard. But as soon as the ball breaks back, they go into a defensive shape. And I think that why that's looking good defensively, and we're not, listen, the one thing that Arteta has addressed at this moment in time is that no team, and that includes yesterday, as much possession that Burnley had, they weren't raining shots in at us like other teams have in the past, because with the way we're setting up and the way we're doing things. But it's taking away a lot of our attacking play. It tells me that Mikel Arteta is not confident with our defenders, because we're covering our defenders in all sorts of positions, and that is what the problem is at the moment. So he's addressing the back, but I think that once he gets in better defenders, then you can rely on, that you can go 1-for-1 or whatever. Then I think we can look to our attacking side of it. Totally agree what we were saying earlier on why Mikel Arteta broke up the the left-hand side, I don't know. That's been working really well. There is a thing in life which turns around and says, if it's not broken, don't fix it. And we've been playing really, really well on the left-hand side. It's been causing all sorts of problems. And we didn't do that. We put Martinelli over to the right, and it was the worst game that he had. He got found out, if I'll be honest. But in saying that, on all three forwards, didn't really click. They were poor. The service was poor. But you have to give Burnley credit. They defended very, very resolutely, very, very well yesterday. You know, good defensive, strong side. So on that point of view, that was there. The thing with Lacazette, listen, I'm a big fan of Lacazette. He's working really, really hard. I'm going to give him one defence on his side at the moment, is that I think that going through pre-season and then just after pre-season he was injured, and I think if we've all played football, you need a pre-season. I don't think he's had a pre-season. I think it's showing. But yesterday, all of his game broke down. It just broke down. You know, every time he went into him, it come off of him. His hold-up play, which is normally very, very good, broke down. And I don't know how you guys think about it. I think if he'd have banged in that first chance from that header in the first couple of minutes, it would have been all different. But it's like a flower, wouldn't he? He wilted after that.
Yeah.
And
I did say if that one went in, it would have been 4 or 5-0.
Could have been. You know what I mean?
I
think that he would have been. But it was was it a bad miss or not? I think, least I think you should do is get it on target. I'm not saying that you should score from there. But then, now I think Arteta has got to make some real big calls. He made a big call yesterday. I don't know if you spoke about it, if I missed this bit or whatever, but to leave Pepe out was a massive call. You know what I mean? Like, why do that for someone that I think has just started to start playing well, and then keeping players that are not playing well? It'll be very, very interesting to see what happens in the next game. But our next game is at home. I think that when we're away from home, we've got to be better defensively with better players. But the stats, and I don't like using stats, so like this probably not using, but like you can turn around and say it like, Lacazette has not scored an away goal. Is it for a year now?
365 days.
That is not good enough any standard of football. If you're a forward and you're playing on a Sunday league team or a semi-pro or at that, and also when you're playing for Arsenal, it's got to be better than that. There's no getting away from that fact. Yes, and I think a lot of fans are quickly trying to write him off but last season, let's not forget, he was our player of the year, scoring against all the top teams. But away from home, he's a different player, and I think that's something that Arteta's got to address. I think there's lots of things that he's got to address, but I think someone said it today. I think I was speaking to Ken, who said it today. I know it was a poor performance. I know it was probably a poor result, but the last two teams to have gone to Burnley were Leicester and Chelsea, and they both come away with nothing. So let's take the positive from it, the clean sheet. Let's get the positive from that. And I think, if I'm going to be really honest, we weren't all that disappointed. We started to get a little bit when Spurs won yesterday. That's the one that Arsenal fans more. That them getting to an extra couple of points on us, we thought like, we maybe gained a point and probably looking to gain 3. So that's what I think that's happened. I look at the, we keep going on the stats and things like that. Mikel Arteta's record at the moment doesn't look good, but what I do see is progress. I do see us defending better. I do see there is a little bit of structures to us. I think that it's going to take time. There's going to be building blocks. He's addressed, I think what he's addressed is the main thing is, Watford, 40 shots against us. Other teams down the bottom, 30-odd shots against us. As much possession that Burnley had yesterday, how many saves did Leno have to make, So I think there is progress.
We shall talk about the positives after this quick break. check out our sponsor, the West Cork Beer Company, link below in the description. Now, Dan, there was a few positives from yesterday, and I think he deserves a big mention, and that is for Lee's mate. Can you say his name?
Mr. Mustafi.
Yeah, okay, we'll give him that. Mr. Mustafi. Dan, I think Mustafi, people are talking about how Mustafi Arteta.
What is his first name, Craig?
I don't know. What did we say? Simon. So, yeah, Simon.
Yeah, that'll do.
Dave.
What is it? Come on, Harry. Come on.
Squadron.
It's like something out of a war film.
So it's like the Dan Busters.
Yeah. Squadron Mustafi. At attention, please.
People are going on about Arteta changing players. But one of these ones, right? And I don't care what anyone says in the chat or what anyone says anywhere. Mustafi is a much improved defender.
Yeah, he was good yesterday, and so was Luiz. But I still don't want him in the team. Do you know why though, Craig? And everyone says, "Oh, he's been good," and he has been good, but it's not so much the fact that he's a bad defender for 90 minutes. It's the fact that he's got that one shocking mistake in him every 90 minutes. And, even what does annoy me, and it did annoy me yesterday, was he gets it, and when there's nothing on, he just smashes it up in the air and just gives them back the possession. And I think, why are you doing that? Who has told you to smash the ball up and just give it back to the James Tarkowskis and Ben Mees? They're the only things that frustrate me. But together with him and Luiz, it surprised me actually, because that at the start of the season, I would have said, what a nightmare partnership. But the games they have played together, they have improved. I do take that as being under Arteta. I mean, Karen said it there, Mustafi under Arteta. I think Arteta's got to take a lot of credit there for what he's done with our defence as a unit, because I think in every single position from right back to left back and the partnership in the middle, we have improved. So yeah, for me, listen, I'll slate Mustafi when he makes mistakes. When he doesn't make mistakes and he plays well, I shall say he plays well. But for 4 years, he's been making mistakes, and I can't forgive the guy anymore.
Okay, look, a lot of the people in the chat are kind of agreeing with you. That he's got this, that he should be dropped, should be sold, this, that, and ever. Yeah, look, let's bring this in. Oh no, that's not the one I wanted. Sorry, Harry, I'll come to you on this one. Look. Unpopular opinion, but Mustafi is still better than an 80 million Harry Maguire. Would you agree with that?
I don't really rate Harry Maguire anyway.
I don't either. So
honest, I think he's just a lump. Absolutely. And you know what drives me mad when I sit there, and particularly it was during the World Cup when people were going, "Oh, he's such a great defender at bringing the ball out of his defence. He's so technically gifted." No, the last centre half that England had that could defend and bring the ball out of the defence was Rio Ferdinand. Since then, there hasn't been one. People like Harry Maguire, Jesus, give me a break. He looks like the ogre from Shrek. Mustafi, look. The thing
sorry,
with Mustafi,
Harry, if you're watching sorry, Harry. Harry thinks.
No, I don't think so. He's a Man United player. Come on,
exactly. The thing is with Mustafi is that he's never been as bad as people have made him out. He's made some mistakes, yes. He's made some high-profile mistakes, yes. But so have lots of other high-profile people. I mean, David De Gea this season has made a number of high-profile mistakes, but people don't sit there saying he's a crap goalkeeper. The point is that you're seeing an improvement in Arsenal's defenders individually because the team are finally being set up in a way that allows them to defend more effectively. And the more you watch of Mikel Arteta's Arsenal, the more you realise how badly we've been defending as a unit for the last 5 or 6 seasons. And that in actual fact, anybody that played at centre-half for Arsenal never really stood a bloody chance of defending effectively because we were so all over the place. Now, I'm not saying I want Mustafi to be our centre-half for the next 5 years or that, he's all of a sudden become this world beater. I'm not saying that for a second. I'm just saying that he's not as bad as some people would have you believe, and he's not. He doesn't deserve the battering that he gets all the time. And like Dan's just done there, Dan watched him. He's played well. He's given him credit, and that's how it should be with Arsenal fans. We shouldn't keep going back to things that happened 2 or 3 years ago because the future is what we're looking at. We're progressing. Mustafi's progressing with the team, as is Xhaka, as is Maitland-Niles, as is, a number of players who have improved individually under Arteta. So let's just look forward, give him credit when he plays well. And when he doesn't, we'll call him out. But at this moment in time, if people are still being negative about him, then it says more about them than him.
Lee, I mean, interesting. I mean, it is correct that I think it is correct that we are giving Mustafi some credit because he has been brilliant the last few weeks. But I understand, and there's people in the chat, saying he's rubbish. He's gone. He's cost us too many times. This, that, and the other. But he has improved under Arteta, and as Harry says, looks like a better player. Surely, the last few weeks, he does deserve the credit that I'm trying to give him.
Listen, yeah, and what players do is when they come to a club, they start off on a blank and then they put credit in the bank. You know what I mean? And that is why like Aubameyang gets a little bit more grace than say Lacazette and anybody else because he's got credit in the bank. Now, unfortunately, he's on the withdrawal line, isn't he? Mustafi. He's like me,
living in his overdraft.
He's gone into the red zone. You know what I mean? He's but what he's doing is he's gradually getting it back. A heart of a lion, by the way, lads. You know what I mean? And let's face it, he's played really well. I thought he played very, very well against Bournemouth. Stretch it off, could have just said, right, okay, but because he's playing well and because he's desperate to get back, he's back in the team. So it shows that he's got, a lot of heart. And I think also I think which I admire him for more than anything, a lot of bottle. A lot of people would have said, right, no, that's it. I'm going to give up and down tools on this. The fans don't like me, blah, 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 blah. He hasn't. He's kept working hard. And the fans now are singing his name. I just sing his second name, but they are singing it. And the thing is, he's doing really well.
Come on, Simon! Go on, Simon!
Go on, Si. Go on, Si. You know what I mean? So, but at this moment in time, he's doing well. He's doing well. And I totally agree with what Harry says. You take it game by game, and that's how I do it. If Arsenal have played well, I will praise, and if they don't, then I won't. When he's playing well, yes, we know he's got a mistake in him. Unfortunately, when he does make a mistake, it's normally a horrendous one. But yesterday, he made a couple of little mistakes and got away with them, if I'll be honest. And I think at the end of it, you can only say how it feels. He's done very, very well in the last couple of games, as has David Luiz. And you can only speak on a game-to-game situation. I think it was also a big call from Arteta to leave Socrates out for this game because he done okay and has done well in the past, but he's stuck with Mustafi and he's done okay. But I'm going to say this now, and I don't care if I upset people or whatever. When you bring in a player from loan and to improve the team, I will expect Pablo Mari to be in the team against Newcastle. That's it. Because otherwise, why get him? And so I expect him to be in the team, and one of David Luiz or Mr. Simon Mustafi will have to be left out.
Okay. Who was I was going to say, Lee? Just before we go on to some questions, I've asked the two lads about this. What do you think about him leaving out Torreira yesterday?
Yeah, I did hear that when he was going down. I think I'm going to be honest. I'm going to defend it because I felt that he looked at the way Burnley play, very aerial, very, very, very dangerous on crosses, and I think that probably he felt that Guendouzi's height would be a little bit better for in that sort of thing. So I felt that that's why he probably done that. Do I agree with it? It was a tough one because I thought Guendouzi was absolutely outstanding against Bournemouth, absolutely outstanding. So it was a difficult one, and I felt that maybe he used that as a thing. I heard what we said, that the Guendouzi Xhaka partnership doesn't work so well. I thought that they played very well against Bournemouth, by the way, in that first half together. So it proved that they could probably play together. I think that he went for that. But then if that was his... if he was going to do that, if that was what he was thinking, I get that. But then at half-time when Xhaka went to left-back, he brought him on. If he felt that he was going to be worried about their aerial threat and all that, then probably Willock would have been a better thing for him. So I find it quite strange, if I'll be honest, because I think Torreira's been absolutely outstanding for us in the last few games. This is what I'm saying, where I'm not criticising Arteta. This is why I feel that he's making mistakes a little bit, learning on the job. Whether he should be learning on the job at Arsenal is a different debate. But he's making some mistakes which are a bit worrying, because Torreira's been playing very, very well. He left him out. As we spoke about, Pepe has done better than what he has done all season, was left out. And these are the questions that the journalists should be asking him. Instead of asking him about the weather, training in Dubai and all that, these are the questions that they should be asking. So, Harry, when you get there next time, let's be a bit more forthright. Let's get some questions at him that we all want to know. These are the questions that we want to know. Why did he break up the left side? Why did he bring in Guendouzi when I think Torreira's been absolutely outstanding? We'll say this on another point yesterday. Granit Xhaka, again, I thought done okay when he went to left back as well. So, and Torreira done okay when he went into that role. So, I find that one a very, very baffling. But, it's like if you ask the question, why didn't he play? And he just, he picked up a knocking train, or he's been having a couple of days off sick or whatever, then I can understand it. But I'm a little bit baffled by not just that decision from Arteta. There was 3 or 4, if I'll be honest, Craig.
Obviously, we're trying to talk about the positives here. Obviously, a negative, we didn't score. But Dan, positive, we didn't concede either. If you don't let in goals and you don't lose games. Surely we should be looking at that as well as another big positive.
I think that is the main positive, is the fact that we haven't been getting the 2 or 3 goals that we were letting in under Emery. It's getting a stage where if we were scoring 2, we were drawing 2-2. At one stage under Emery, and now we're getting to the stage where we are looking at keeping some clean sheets. And I don't know how many that is now, but under Arteta, but it's certainly been a few. So that's great stuff. One thing I'll just touch on quickly about Guendouzi, Craig, is I don't know if you guys saw it on the TV. Obviously, Lee would have seen it he was there with me, but. Yeah, walking off, doing the rugby gestures. I thought that was absolute quality. That is just thought. I just love the guy, and he's just got so much. I
do love his shithousery. I've got to say, mate. I mean, someone told me he was mimicking drop kicking the rugby ball.
He was, yeah.
Brilliant. That's the kind of stuff I want to see. Harry, not conceding a goal, massive positive, which would tell us all that there's, we've already touched on it. There's tell us all that there is improvements being made under Mikel Arteta. Let's get it right. This is his first job as a manager or a head coach, whatever you want to call him. So we have got to cut him a bit of slack. We've all said it on here, that the season's a write-off. Our only chance of a trophy is probably the Europa League or the FA Cup. We're not going to qualify for you. It doesn't look like we're going to qualify for Europe. I think that had gone a couple of months ago anyway, to be quite honest with you. We're not going to qualify for Europe through the league table. So there is some improvement there, Harry, surely. And it's like you said yourself, it's not all doom and gloom.
Absolutely, there is an improvement. In some people's eyes, maybe it's not enough of an improvement, and that's a fair debate to have. But for me, I guess I kind of believe that that people had an impression of Mikel Arteta as somebody who was going to come in and get us playing this swashbuckling, attacking football again straight away, because he's been working with Pep Guardiola, and that would be his way. Yeah, to a degree, I get that, but he's come here and he hasn't got the players that he had at Manchester City, nowhere near. He doesn't have that level of talent at Arsenal. And so I think it's actually refreshing to see that he can be pragmatic as well when he needs to be, and he can drill a team defensively as opposed to just, being all about attacking play. So that's a real positive for me. And I think that people's opinion comes generally from what they had, the impression they had of Mikel Arteta in their minds before they actually saw him take charge of a team. So there's a lot of positives for me. Yes, we can be better, but even under the bad days of Arsene Wenger, we were never as bad as we were at the end of Unai Emery's reign. We were never that far down the table. We'd never had a worse start to the season. So in that sense, you've got to give Mikel Arteta some slack, because he has taken over Arsenal in the worst state that I've ever seen them in since I've been supporting them. So, there you go. Good point, that, Lee. For a lot of fans, for a lot of fans, this would be the worst position that they've seen an Arsenal team in.
Yeah, Yeah, I haven't, but yeah. Listen, the team after 25 games is still on minus points, a goal difference.
Yeah,
sorry.
minus goal. Yeah.
I mean that for a club like Arsenal with the firepower they've got is unacceptable. So he's got to address lots of things that are there, and I think that there have been improvements, and what I look at it now is. He's got this season to see what the players are, make mistakes and whatever, and then make sure that he doesn't make them next season. I don't know about what you guys think, but since he's left Manchester City have not been the same. I don't think there's something quite missing from there.
Great
point. So I think that from that point of view, Chris has said 1914 was the last time. I'm surprised you remember that, Chris, but I believe you. You know what I mean? So, but that side of it is it. Listen, no one's going to be happy at this moment. You cannot be totally happy with what you're seeing. Certainly, if you're a fan yesterday going to that game, it was poor. We got this. Can't take the bones, the beef off the bones there. That's how it was. It was not good enough. But I still see that a team like Burnley putting in crosses, and I'm sure that Dan can vouch for this with people around him as well. Everybody around me was turning around and saying it's not going to be. They're going to score in a minute. It's going to take, even probably watching on TV. In a minute they're going to score. It looks like they're going to score. They didn't. Because we kept it fit. Yes, we rode our luck a bit, but at the end of the day, so did they. You could turn around and say that. So from that point of view, there are positives. I think Harry just turned around and said he hasn't got his own players in place yet. And I think that where everybody turned around and said, oh, you've got to give Emery 2 seasons and this and that and everything like that. He's not even had a transfer window yet because this January was just January, boys. You know what I mean? So we'll let him see what he does in the summer. Let's see what sort of players he's going to get in and then see what he's going to go there. I honestly think that he's giving players, I don't know, me and Kevin were talking about today, and Kevin agreed as well, that he's probably giving players enough ropes that they can hang themselves, giving them enough game time to say, do you know what? Look, I've given you all these games, and then you can go to the board at the end of the season and say, do you know what? I've given so-and-so this amount of games. He hasn't done this. He hasn't done that. He hasn't done that. And do you know what? Also, I think is quite good is how much was Mustafi worth 4 weeks ago? Nothing.
Yeah.
If he carries on playing how he is at the moment, when it's coming to sell him, we might be able to get £1 for him. You never know. You know what I mean? That's
sell him to Italy, man.
So yeah. So there could be some methods in the madness, and when it comes to the defending at the moment, yes, Mustafi has improved. Yes, I think David Luiz has improved. There are things all around that have improved, and if the players are starting to improve, eventually, hopefully, and touch wood, this happens that they turn these draws into to wins. I think someone said it earlier on there, and one positive at the moment is that we are still unbeaten in 2020.
Very true.
So that is a massive positive, and whoever put that up, that is a positive. So we can all look at the doom and gloom side of it, and rightly so, because that's what fans do. But there are things that we can look at and say, we're on the balance, isn't it? It's like, what way is it going to go? And if I'm honest, and if I've got, if I'm going to be really brutally honest, I think it's going to go positive. When it was under Emery and it was in the balance, I felt it was going to go negative. So there's my positive.
Right, I want to fire through some of these questions. We'll bring you in. Karen, good evening to you, Karen. Thank you for your question. Dan, would you play Aubameyang up front with Lacazette just behind him instead of Erba on the wing?
Yeah, 100%. I think everybody knows I'm a fan of Aubameyang down the centre. I hate him wide. I can't stand it. And if Lacazette is going to have to play, then I would put him behind him, and drop Mesut Ozil. But I would actually probably just go with the three of Aubameyang, Pepe, Martinelli, and I'd have 3 tirelessly working midfielders like Liverpool do behind that. I wouldn't have Mesut Ozil in the team. So probably means that I would actually probably drop Laka and Ozil at the moment and play that front 3 with 3 in midfield.
Harry, this one comes in from Gunnar Rusk. Thank you for your kind donation.
Cool, he's given
Russell.
fiver. Oh, Russ, give a fiver. He's still hungover from Burnley. He's still hungover. Keep him on the line. He might do a tenner.
Would a year out of Europe be more beneficial to a good league campaign next year, rather than getting there and getting schooled as usual every time?
If you're talking about a campaign out of the Europa League, then that would be beneficial. Yeah. Definitely. I'd rather be out of that and just focus on the league, because I think it will help Mikel Arteta build the team. We'll stop with these rubbish Thursday, Sunday weekends, which will be helpful to us. If you're talking about us getting in the Champions League, though, I have a different view. And the reason I have a different view is because I feel like the reason we're seeing Arsenal doing these loan deals and the things that we've been doing is because, as much as people don't want to admit it, the finances have been hit hard by the fact that we're about to go into probably our 4th season without Champions League football. So for the good of the club in the long term, I think a campaign in the Europa League is no good. A campaign in the Champions League would be beneficial, A, financially, and B, because it will make us look like serious contenders in the transfer market again, and it helps attract players. So yeah, I'd be in the Champions League, not the Europa.
So couldn't agree more with what Harry's saying.
Absolutely. Lee, when was the last time Arsenal finished with a minus goal difference in the league? I'll have to go Googling that.
I wouldn't know. Certainly not in the Premier League years.
Yes. Yeah, surely not. This one comes in from... I like Arteta's hair. It's amazing, isn't it? Although, I don't know, I sometimes I think he looks like a Lego character.
He looks like a Thunderbirds puppet. Do you remember Thunderbirds?
He's a handsome Thunderbird puppet, though.
I'm not commenting.
Yeah,
Captain Scarlet. Captain Scarlet. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I used to love all them. Great.
David wants to know, Dan, if we don't qualify for Europe, what kind of budget would we have? God help us. Yeah, I think God help us. Would you reckon, Dan? Loans again.
Loans again, yeah. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure if we're not in the Champions League. I honestly don't believe that our wage budget will be any different whether in Europa or out of Europa. And I don't actually think it will matter about attracting players either, because if we're not in the Champions League, it doesn't mean that people will come to Arsenal because we're in the Europa League. They'll come to Arsenal because they want to come to Arsenal. Whether Arsenal finish 10th, 17th, or 6th, they'll come to Arsenal because it's Arsenal. I don't think they're going to say, oh, let's go and play Europa League football on a Thursday night with Arsenal. That's the way I see it. So if we're out of the Champions League, yeah, we will have again, like Harry says, we'll have a massive problem financially again.
Here we go. Here we go. It's most of it's about obviously Europe. If we don't want Europa, then we've got to finish below 7th and do not win the FA Cup. So we've got to focus all our efforts on winning the Europa League. It's a good point, right? Yeah.
It's a terrific point because, straight away we're all saying, we don't want Europa League, but we want the FA. We want to win the FA Cup. If we win the FA Cup, we're in the Europa League. So, what we've got to do is somehow try and win the Europa League. But listen, what will be will be. Listen, if we finish, say if we're in 8th place and we're not in the Europa League, yeah, it's fantastic. But then, we're going to throw the FA Cup final? We ain't going to do that, are we, lads?
No. God, you would hope not. Anyway,
what will be, and that's it. So, and also, going back to Cameron's one about that, I play Pepe, Aubameyang, and Martinelli, and I want to see Ceballos be given a chance.
Yeah, I think Danny Ceballos is definitely worth a go. I mean, you can't do no worse than what we're seeing at the moment. This one comes in from Jamie. Thank you for your question, Jamie. We'll come to you all on this one. When do you think we'll see Pablo Mari and Cedric? How do you pronounce that? Cedric Suarez.
Don't start.
Suarez, is it?
Cedric Suarez.
Suarez, yeah.
Suarez?
Like Luis Suarez.
Suarez?
Yeah. It's like Luis Suarez, yeah.
Suarez,
Cedric Smith. That's what we're calling him.
Yeah,
Cedric Smith.
Yeah, Cedric Smith. Like that ain't Suarez. Suarez is Suarez.
No, but that's the Portuguese Suarez. You're talking about the Spanish version.
See. There's a bit of that about
educated here, Craig. We're getting educated here. So Cedric Suarez.
Okay, Cedric Suarez then. So it's not Soares.
When will we see them have their debuts? One's injured and one's lost.
Yeah. One's still on the plane, isn't he, from Brazil? So
I'll meet you in Dubai, I think was the last thing he said.
Yeah, see you in Dubai. I think surely, I mean, like Lee touched on there, surely we're going to see, we'll see Amari debut against Newcastle, won't we?
Yep.
I think we'll see Mari playing after the winter break. Yeah, I think Suarez will just be covered. I don't think Bellerin or Saka will be dropped at the moment. I think they'll carry on unless there's injuries. I think Suarez will be straight in if one of them gets a knock though. But yeah, I'd like to see this Mari because Arteta made a massive thing about his being left-footed, and we need that to balance our defence. So I think that to me says that he probably will get more game time than we think and won't just be a cover player. So I'm looking forward to seeing him.
Someone's just put in the chat. We finally got Suarez.
Yeah,
we finally got Suarez. Someone's put. We didn't get, and it didn't cost us £40 million and £1.
Yeah, it cost us a loan of £1.
We finally got Suarez.
It
seems like we have a fetish with Suarez.
Very good.
Still can't believe that.
That is the end of church. Anything more to add?
No.
No,
let's not all go doom and gloom. It's not all bad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I think if there's going to be a message out tonight, let's not get too negative. This was a massive job for Arteta to take. You know, we've all said it there. This is probably the worst Arsenal team that we've seen. Well, no, sorry, not the worst Arsenal team that we've seen, but the worst seasonal performance, I would put it down to. I mean, if we'd have lost yesterday, if Rodriguez puts that one away, we're 14th in the division. I mean, seeing Arsenal down in 14th, you know, you'd laugh at someone if someone said that we were going to be 14th place. I just want to bring this one in. Thank you very much for your kind donation. I love you boys. Always help me when I'm in a bad place. Well, I'm absolutely delighted, mate, that we help you.
Yeah, brilliant.
So
get out of that bad place.
Yeah, keep coming back to us. We'll be here.
Well, can I just say something? I'm going to give a big up to Nigel today because he's been very good in the chat box. There's been all complimentary stuff about me today, so he's done very, very well.
Yeah, big up, Nigel. Thank you very much, mate. We did have a little chat before we went live, so well done, mate. You've done a right good job there. Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, we've got one here from Gunnar Russ.
Ah, can we do? Thank you, Russ. Thank you, Russ.
Thank you to everyone who stayed and watched us this evening, peaking over 300 live viewers. Thank you very much. If you haven't done it yet, just before I go away, can you hit the like button for us? If you're there live now, hit the like button. If you're watching this on catch up and you've made it to the end, please touch the like button for me. Apparently, if you every time you touch it now, if you're the 100th person to touch it, it goes gold or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, try it out. See if you can be the 100th person. Every 100 apparently.
You're indestructible. Always believing.
Have you finished?
Oh, gold. Yes.
Right. Okay. Do excuse Lee.
Sorry.
It's the likes. It's the likes that are more. It's the likes that are important. So please hit that like button. It helps us get into people's suggested video boxes and stuff like that. So if you wouldn't mind hitting the like, thanks very much, Dan. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Oh, thank you, boys. It's been a pleasure as always.
Harry, thank you very much, sir.
Always a pleasure, man. Thank you for having me.
Lee, thank you very much.
Before I go, I know Kevin will be watching it. It's his birthday tomorrow, so happy birthday to Kevin for tomorrow, So I know.
Happy birthday, Mr. Campbell, and
happy birthday
today, the Y50.
And thank you very much for wishing my dad a happy birthday yesterday. He was over the moon when he saw that. So thank you very much, Kevin. It was my dad's birthday yesterday, yeah. And Kevin gave him a nice. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, Kevin gave me a little message. So underneath. He obviously saw my post that I put up, and he put a nice little message.
I didn't see no because I was travelling yesterday, so I do apologise to your dad. Right now.
So yeah, he was chuffed to bits. Am I missing anything? Am I missing anything?
Just your ear.
What? Have you had a look at yourself in the mirror?
Just saying.
Oh, Lord Voldemort over here.
Oh dear. Mr. Voldemort, please.
Mr. Voldemort, okay.
What's
his name?
It.
Yeah, what's his name? Go on, what's his name?
Vinny. That's what Judge does. He just takes any first name and uses the same letter.
Yeah, look, here we go. Look.
Where's Nigel? Do your job, Nigel. Get him out.
Remember to go and check out West Cork Beer Company. Link in the description. If you listen to this on SoundCloud or you're listening to it on iTunes or Spotify, the link will be in the description. Please check him out. Thank you very much indeed. I do believe we've got a break, haven't we? Have we got a week?
It's a winter break now. Yeah.
Is it a week's break or 2 weeks?
Winter break.
We're back on the 16th, I believe, which is a Sunday at 4:30 against Newcastle. So, actually, just before we go on. I'm going to give this in. There we go.
Who's got to do that?
You.
Nigel, where are you, Nigel? Socrates Papalopoulos. Come on,
Harry, can you do it properly, please?
Lucky you're not coming Olympiacos away, man. They'll slaughter you for that. It's actually Babastafopoulos. There you go.
Lovely. Oh, very.
No one would get that anyway, would they?
No.
Well, Harry just did.
It's all Greek, isn't it? It's all Greek.
Greek, isn't he?
I am Greek, to be fair. If I can't do it, then it's a problem.
He's here.
People are saying, Harry, don't help him.
He's advertising the beers next week. He's on the advert. You know what I mean?
Is it Socrates or Socrates, Harry, as well?
It's not. It's Socrates.
Socrates.
It's not Socrates like the Brazilian. I know everyone pronounces it like that, but it's not like that. The Greek name is not like that, which actually the Brazilian nicked it from. So,
what is his? How would you say it then? Socrates. What is it?
You'd say Socrates.
Dave.
You'd put the emphasis, so you'd say Socrates. You'd put the emphasis over the A, basically, because in Greek, there you go. There you go.
We're going to have a week off next week. We're going to have a winter holiday as well. So we'll see you back.
Anywhere nice? Anybody going anywhere nice? Caribbean or no?
No. Bognor Regis.
Bognor. Very nice.
Dan, you'll be doing a Pots preview though for Newcastle, won't you, sir?
Yes, I will be. Yeah, I'm going to be doing the Pots preview for Newcastle. I've got James Rowe coming on as well, so that'll be nice.
Oh, lovely. That would be a good one. So yeah, we'll let you know when we'll let you know the date and time for that. Keep an eye on the Twitter, and we'll see you then. Until we see you then, take care of yourselves and each other. Up the Arsenal.
Up the Arsenal.